Ladies and gentlemen, we have another episode of Raw, and quite frankly, this is going to be a lower edited video. Your boy's just going to be doing a little bit of a rant/review because, I had some internet issues and some audio issues that delayed some streaming things, and there's some complications, but your boy is still going to be getting this review out because, quite frankly, we have to continue to call out the realities in Triple H's garbage booking. So with that being said, we're going to get into this Monday Night Raw tonight because Raw tonight, guys, was complete garbage. Nothing happened. Nobody can actually explain to me any amazing or great stories or just good stories that were actually developed or expanded upon tonight on Raw. Literally none. And quite frankly, if we're being honest, this is how Raw is the entire year, and same with SmackDown. SmackDown's not even in the conversation. Neither is Raw. I don't like when people say, oh, well, at least Raw is better than SmackDown. At least Raw is better than SmackDown. No, it's not. No, it's not. Raw sucks too, okay? Raw is better than SmackDown because SmackDown is a 0 out of 10 and Raw is like a 1 out of 10. So there you have that. But at the end of the day, this show was trash. You had a bunch of segments that literally meant nothing, did nothing, or made no sense, or were poorly executed, or went absolutely nowhere, or we've seen them before. And at the end of the day, we just have to acknowledge it for what it is. Now, before we get into this review, we have to acknowledge that Triple Fud went on Twitter today, or wherever, some interview, see what I'm saying? And somebody took the quote from the interview, and he said that tonight's Raw was going to be so epic. What was epic about this Raw? We got rematches, we got boring segments, we got a bunch of pander pops, you know what I'm saying? And on top of that, we got absolutely zero great stories tonight. Zero. So I'm trying to understand what about tonight was epic. You see what I'm saying? Before Survivor Series and before Mania this year and before SummerSlam, Triple H promises, it's going to be epic. We're going to knock your socks off. I'm the game. Everybody has an opinion. Well, guess what? My opinion is that the show sucks and WWE is dead because Triple H ruined it. That's my opinion on the matter. Now, with that being said, now that we've exposed Triple H's lie, and the problem is that people expected epic shows going into the night, which I don't know why. I mean, we already knew the show was going to suck anyways, but still, people expected epic shows. We got garbage. So let's go ahead and get into the review for this trash episode of Raw. Number one, we started off with Monday Night Rio. I'm going to say that again. We started off with Monday Night Rio. Give you a couple seconds to digest that. Monday Night Rio. Rhea Ripley and Sky have been doing the same thing for 5 to 6 months at this point. They come out, they hug, they point at their heads and do the little celebration, and then they talk about the same thing we're going to talk about in about 20 seconds. But it's getting annoying at this point. You can't convince me that these fans are not bots. You can't. How can Rhea Ripley not tell any good stories, cut no good promos, say the same lines of dialogue for a year or two straight at this point, and still come out and get the biggest pop of the night? Either we have a bunch of fans that are massive gooners, which is probably the possibility, or they just love Rhea Ripley, no matter what she does. Just like Cody Rhodes for a while could get away with not doing any good promos or anything, and the crowd would still love this guy. Heck, they still love him now. But it's getting unbearable. It's been unbearable for a while now. Rhea Ripley says, welcome to Monday Night Rio. After that, she then reveals that she wants revenge. Her and Io want revenge on the Kabuki Warriors, and they want the tag belts. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did we not just spend 3 months or 2 months in this feud, right, with the Kabuki Warriors and Rhea Ripley? This is supposed to be done at War Games, where they allegedly went to war, even though there wasn't no war involved. AJ Lee and Charlotte Flair are taking turns in the back of the cage, taking naps. You know what I'm saying? All the heels are taking naps at time to time. The match was disconjointed, awful, botchy, and extremely boring. And somehow, we're supposed to sit here and actually act like this makes any sense. At the War Games, we're supposed to be ending all these feuds and going to war to culminate these supposedly feuds, you know what I'm saying, and epic stories. But there were no epic stories, there were no feuds, and there were no any engaging or intriguing drama or suspense to any of this nonsense. And so because of that, you know what I'm saying? Because of that issue, that means that War Games was, like I said in War Games, for both the men and the women's matches, the matches are pointless. We went through a 5v5 with the men's match, right? The heels and the faces, for Lesnar to take a break. Punk's taking a break, which allegedly he's injured. He's going to be back in 4 weeks, so hopefully he's okay, right? Roman took a break. Punk's taking a break. Lesnar's taking a break. Logan Paul will eventually take another break as well for his part-time schedule, okay? Drew McIntyre goes nowhere from here. He has nowhere to go. Jimmy Uso's taking a break. Jey Uso now is allegedly crashing out, and he's taking a break. What is the point of this match? What is the point, guys? Nothing matters anymore. And that's why these Raws are unacceptable, bro. This show sucks, man. Nothing has any connective tissue. Nothing makes sense. And nothing that happens on these shows, whether it's PLEs, Raws, or SmackDowns, matters long term. That's the problem. When Triple H only books for momentary pops and cheap moments, that's what you get. So now we're back at a Raw after War Games that happened 2 days ago, and we're still talking about war. That's how meaningless Survivor Series was, bro. And people are spending $30+ a month for this garbage. Unbelievable, man. Triple Fraud needs to be fired immediately. And that's unfortunate that I'm saying that because Triple H used to be awesome when we were growing up and watching him as a wrestler. But now, he sucks at his job, bro. And I don't want to hear about TKO. Stop making excuses. If TKO says, for example, hey, we need your biggest stars in this match, they let them know that beforehand. So Triple H still has weeks, even months to prepare to how to prepare and book these stars to make them feel special and make the shows engaging. So there's no excuse. You can't blame TKO. You can't blame The Rock. You can blame some of it on the wrestlers, but the majority of the blame is on Triple Fraud and Road Dogg and all the jobbers that are making the creative for these shows. Now we get back to the segment, and Rhea Ripley tells Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, who come out there, Charlotte and Flair, Charles Flair, and Alex Bliss, you know what I'm saying? They go out there, and basically, Triple H, Rhea Ripley tells them, she goes, Charlotte, I really respected you. How many times has Rhea Ripley talked about respect? With Liv Morgan, it was about respect, right? Well, later in the year, it was with Bianca, and it was about respect. The first time she feuded with Io this year was about respect. Then later in the summer, it was about more respect. And then Stephanie Vaquer backstage in a segment, it was about respect. And now we're talking again with Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, and it's about respect. Rhea was just talking about respect 2 weeks ago with Charlotte, and we're still doing it. Do you see what I mean? These shows go nowhere. They go nowhere fast. That's all that they can actually accomplish, okay? So we're back doing the same things we always do. And then Charlotte and Alexa Bliss say, if you really want to show some respect and show how great you guys are, then prove it, and let's fight later tonight. We then set that up for the main event, which that main event is literally just a brawl, so that's going to be quick to cover later. We then had LA Knight versus Jey Uso. Basically, this match was okay. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't bad. It was an okay match. LA Knight ends up beating Jey Uso, which was honestly kind of surprising. I thought they were going to run back Jey Uso and Gunther, and then have Jey Uso crash out or maybe turn heel after that match with Gunther on SmackDown. But it looks like Jey Uso's just going to crash out tonight, and now he's upset, and randomly in a backstage segment later, he says, Jackie, like Roman said, at the end of the day, the belts look better on his shoulders, not mine. I have no idea what to say to this. Jey Uso and LA Knight put on an okay match. I mean, Jey Uso hit a splash and 2 spears, which again, those are the same moves that helped him defeat Gunther, who is a world champion and who barely loses at this point. But quite frankly, if LA Knight is now no-selling those moves, I don't know what else to say. I really don't. How can you go from beating a world champion earlier this year with those moves, and now LA Knight, who's won nothing in many, he's won nothing just ever, and he's now no-selling the moves? Makes no sense, but that's the conclusion you get. Nothing ever makes sense, so it is what it is. LA Knight wins. Afterwards, Jey Uso crashes out, allegedly, and throws a couple Prime bottles, and you know what I'm saying, starts shouting and looking around like he's crazy, and then, yeah, that's basically it. After this, we then get arguably the worst segment of the night. This was complete garbage. Everything I've been saying about Dominik Mysterio all year has come to pass, guys. He is a jobber, and he has no business winning any championships in this company. Already, he's a mediocre in-ring performer. That's step 1. Step 2, he's overrated. Step 3, he's not believable. Look at him, right, and look at someone like a Trick Williams or an Obafemi or literally anyone. Look at him and Finn Balor. Finn Balor would destroy Dominik Mysterio in an actual fight or in a real wrestling match with no interference. And I understand that the gimmick is, oh, well, Dominik Mysterio needs the interferences, man. He needs the interferences so he can win matches. That's the whole thing. He's Dirty Dom. Guess what? You're comparing him to Eddie Guerrero and all this stuff. Eddie Guerrero is 10 times the star that Dominik Mysterio is. Stop comparing the two. Eddie Guerrero was actually jacked. He was shredded. He was imposing. He had more charisma. He was a better storyteller. He was a way better in-ring performer. And on top of that, he had a better storyline and a better gimmick for his character. So don't give me that, oh, well, at least Dominik's like Eddie Guerrero. Stop comparing Dominik to Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero's in a different league than this guy, man. Rest in peace to Eddie Guerrero. But that's the situation with that. Dominik Mysterio is boring, and he is a jobber, and he pauses, and it's so, if you guys saw the show, you saw how cringy and awkward this promo is, because he's waiting for boos. He's waiting, he says a line, and he's waiting for boos, looking at the crowd, waiting for boos. It's so cringy and awkward and cheesy. Triple H has booked this heel, because Dominik is a heel, and he's booked so badly that the crowd is cheering for him now because they like Dominik now, and all of a sudden, Dominik's still looking for boos. The booking is off, and you're seeing it in front of your screens. The fans are proving it to you that the booking sucks. They don't know whether to cheer or boo people because of how awful that the booking is, and it's as simple as that. After this takes place, Dominik basically says the same thing he's been saying since 1997. I'm the best Intercontinental Champion, I'm the best Luchador, and I'm the best Mysterio. He's been saying the same thing for a year and a half, just like Rhea Ripley, just like Liv Morgan, just like Cody Rhodes, just like Gunther, just like Jey Uso. And you know what they all have in common? They all managed to somehow get over, except for Gunther, and that's basically it. You know what I'm saying? Gunther's the only dude on that list who just managed to not get over. But still, right, everyone else managed to get over because these fans are bots. You see the proof in the pudding, guys. The fans are part of the reason to blame for this as well. They're the ones selling out these arenas and showing up and chanting, Cody Rhodes, after garbage promos and bad stories. So in the same way that Triple H books the shows and has ruined the company, the fans actually play some of the blame as well, unfortunately. So that's just the simple fact of the matter. We have to move on, okay? Dominik Mysterio says the same lines. Olivia Morgan then comes out. I'm done with Olivia Morgan. I'm done. Olivia Morgan is complete garbage. She's boring, and she's done nothing for over a year at this point. Since even last year, when Rhea returned, all Liv Morgan did each week was come out, brawl with someone, and then Rhea Ripley's music hits and she comes out and fights with her. And then the next week, if Rhea Ripley and Liv are having a promo or some type of segment, it's the same continuous roll of garbage. It's monotony, it's bad booking, and it's not engaging whatsoever at all in the slightest. Afterwards, Liv Morgan basically says the Judgment Day is weak now, and I don't like it anymore. Okay, and let's move on. Maximus Dupree gets a video segment because in between matches, Maxine Dupree needs like 2 or 3 weeks to even a month so she can rehearse the match with her competitor. She got the Intercontinental Championship just to rehearse matches and still figure out how to become a good wrestler while she has the championship. And I'm supposed to be told that she's amazing. She's had 9 or 10 televised matches in nearly 2 years. Since the beginning of 2024, she's had 9 or 10 televised matches, guys. Go look it up. It may be 11 or 12 at max. At max. And she's getting an IC title. And while she has the IC title, she has to take a few weeks to train and get better at actually wrestling. Are you kidding me? This is just, it's embarrassing. It's also embarrassing that the New Day had a great heel turn, and they came out and lost to AJ Styles and Dragano Lee, but the ending of this match was really good. The in-ring work rate throughout was pretty decent. New Day, you know what I'm saying, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods and AJ Styles, too, for his age, everyone here moves pretty good, and obviously Dragon Lee's really athletic, so everyone here moved good. There wasn't that many botches. It was a swift match. Entertaining, but again, nobody cares. No one in this match has any storyline or anything interesting, any drama around it, so there's no intrigue in any of this stuff that's happening, so we move on, okay? And the ending of this match was really good, though. Dragon Lee hit like a double stomp on Kofi's back, and then Kofi flew into position, for the Styles Clash, and AJ Styles caught him. It was a really sick and creative ending, very entertaining. AJ Styles and Dragano Lee retain, and next week they're going to fight the War Raiders, aka the War Jobbers, for the tag belts. No one cares, but the ending was creative, so I'll give it some credit for that. We then move on to the big talking point of the night. Bron Breakker cuts a promo. This is going to be a very divisive thing. Now, obviously, I'm just going to say this now. The last, after Bron Breakker cut this promo, the immediate reaction from the fan, you can go back and watch it. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the segment yourself. There was 4 different types of reactions to this segment. Number 1 was that a part of the audience just didn't even react and didn't say anything. It was kind of awkward. Part of it is that part of the audience did cheer after the promo because they thought it was good. And the other part, the third part is that fans actually were, were booing the promo, you know what I'm saying, because he's a heel. They obviously either thought it sucked or they just didn't care. And the fourth option was fans were still chanting CM Punk. So either way you cut it, out of those 4 reactions, 3 of them are not desirable. You don't want to be cutting a promo or having a segment, and afterwards, the fans have 4 different options. There should be one option. They should be cheering or stunned, or you should get some type of excitement from the crowd. And afterwards, there was not a palpable sense of joy or excitement after the promo. It was just kind of like a, you know what I'm saying? It was like a 50-50 basically from everybody. Because quite frankly, even though Bron Breakker in this promo, which let's go through what he said first, and then I'll break it down afterwards, okay? Bron Breakker comes out, and he has a lot of intensity in this promo, right? This is, it's time now. He's been on the main roster for a year and a half. I've said before, he's told no good stories and has cut no good promos on the live mic, and quite frankly, after this, he still hasn't, and I'll explain why in a second. Bron Breakker cuts a promo here that when you hear it the first time, you're like, man, that was pretty decent, but the more you think about it, it's complete trash. He basically, or not complete trash, but it's not good. It's a decent promo at best. Decent at best, right? It's like a 6 out of 10 level promo, and I'm going to explain why in a second. He basically says that CM Punk is a soft B word, which we'll revisit that in a second. He says that to get a cheap pop from the crowd because, oh, he said the B word, you know what I'm saying? He then says that AJ Lee is a bigger star than CM Punk. Again, we've used this before with Rollins and Punk, I'm pretty sure. I don't, you know what I'm saying? We've already heard this line. It's just whatever at this point, whatever. He says that. He then says, remember at WrestleMania when you told me backstage to cut that, let me know when you can cut a promo with the big dogs? And then Bron Breakker says, well, consider it cut, buddy. And then he basically says, you tried to ruin me at Survivor Series and break my neck and take everything that I've worked for. And now I'm going to take everything that you've worked for, and I'm coming for it all. And then he basically says, you're not on the level of the bad A Bron Breakker, and you'll find that out on January 5th. That's that. Then the promo ends. He throws the mic down in anger and frustration. He throws his jacket off, and that ends the promo, and he walks away super intense. I do applaud his acting here. He was really intense, and he gave a lot of energy into this promo. So that's great. But quite frankly, if we're being honest, I have multitude of reasons here why I think that this promo did not work for me, and it's not a good promo. And quite frankly, the first reason is that Triple H has ruined Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed for that matter. These dudes have been booked like jobbers for many months. And for Bron Breakker, it's been over a year at this point. Because he won the IC title and then just didn't show up for like 6 or 7 weeks. No pun intended, of course. But he didn't show up for like 6-7 weeks while he was the Intercontinental Champion, okay? After that took place, he then returned earlier this year, you know what I'm saying, to Raw and did absolutely nothing on the show. Can you tell me anything Bron Breakker did with that IC title in the first 4 months of this year before he lost it at Mania? Thank you. There's your first problem. Secondly, after Mania, he serves as a lackey bot jobber to Seth Rollins. And then he does that to Bronson Reed for a little while. And then he just did it again at War Games to Bronson Reed, Bron Breakker, Drew McIntyre, and Logan Paul, who are noticeably more believable and imposing as heels. That is a problem. It makes Bron Breakker look lesser. And on top of the second issue, he says that it was easy beating Punk. Again, CM Punk had been fighting for an hour, thrown against the cage multiple times, took multiple claymores, took multiple spears, got beat up by Brock Lesnar, got tsunami'd by Bronson Reed, got thrown against the cage again, got hit with other weapons, and then got curb stomped by Austin Theory or Bron Breakker's brother, one of the Steiner kids, whoever it was in that jacket, whatever. They hit him with a move as well, hit him with the curb stomp, and then Bron Breakker pinned him. How does Punk take all those moves and Bron Breakker takes the credit for saying that beating Punk was easy? He just got pinned by Punk on Raw like a month or two ago when Punk had to win the gauntlet, obviously, to fight Gunther at SummerSlam. He got pinned, Bron Breakker got pinned by CM Punk. You get what I'm saying? None of it makes sense. That's already not believable. And then number 3, why it's also not believable, is the problem is this, right? He just simply isn't a main event level guy yet, and everyone knows it. The ending of that promo, where you have the crowd split up into 4 reactions, go back and watch it if you don't believe me, but when the crowd is split up in 4 reactions after your promo, that's not a good sign. And on top of that, this is like the 4th or 5th reason why this doesn't work, is not only is it not believable, but we've watched Bron Breakker get booked poorly for over a year at this point. He had a whole summer of losing and beating Jey Uso. Lose 1 week, win the next week. Lose 1 week, win the next week. Then he fought LA Knight. Lose 1 week, win the next week. Lose 1 week, win the next week. Then lose to CM Punk. And then it just kept on going. He's been doing the same thing, guys. It's boring, it's monotonous, it's garbage booking. And now it's to the point where even if he cuts a decent promo, the crowd doesn't even know how to react because they don't care. They don't care. So that's the problem. This promo on surface, if you're just hearing it and there's no background audio, like if Bron Breakker just came to the main roster like at War Games or something, and this is the first promo he cuts, that works. This promo in that scenario would be amazing. This would be a great opening promo. But with the context I just gave and what's been happening all year, this promo is not good and it's not believable. And obviously the crowd showed you that. And so that's the problems with this promo. This promo is not good. It's going to be overrated by many people because they don't know what good promos are and they don't know how good storytelling and context works to make good promos and to make good stories. So they're going to just assume that this is great because he used a couple of curse words and yelled. That's basically all he did here, you know? And also another issue I have with this as well is just saying, you know what I'm saying? I hate to be that guy who keeps bringing this up, but again, if you tell any of the other like mid-card or upper-card talent that, hey, you can go cut a promo on your opponent, it being CM Punk, and you can say anything you want, because that's what Bron Breakker was given here. He was given freedom to say whatever he wanted and do whatever he wanted in this promo about CM Punkinator, and he did that. And obviously the promo ended up sounding intense, but let's be honest here, guys. If you tell Cody Rhodes, or Drew McIntyre, or even a Trick Williams, or an Obafemi, or Carmelo Hayes, or The Miz, you know what I'm saying? Or who else can you use? Even a Dominik Mysterio, bro. And he sucks on the mic, in my opinion. Even him. There's a lot of wrestlers you go on that list. LA Knight, of course. Imagine LA Knight if he was given the freedom to say anything about CM Punk, use a couple of curse words, and take shots. Do you think that any of those people I just named, out of those 8 or 9 people, would be cutting a bad promo? If they were given the carte blanche to say whatever they wanted, would they be cutting a bad promo? And the evidence of this is that Seth Rollins, in the last promo before Raw on Netflix when he fought Punk at the beginning of this year, they had that great promo the week before. But the weeks leading up to that, Rollins was saying absolutely nothing on the mic because he couldn't take shots. Him and Punk couldn't take shots at each other. They weren't allowed. That's why those promo segments were so boring for a couple months at the end of last year. And then randomly, they were allowed to finally take shots at each other and the promos became interesting. Naturally, if you give anyone who is at least like an average performer, if you give them the ability to say whatever they want and to yell on the mic all the time, they're going to probably cut a promo that you can see as decent or engaging. But with correct context, it's easy to see this promo was not good and it's not believable. And it doesn't tell us a story that actually is, you know, what I'm saying, that we're interested in. And those are problems. That is the main event segment of the night, in my opinion. So everything else that happens after this we're going to talk about, nobody cares. Gunther fights Solo Sikoa in a match that I would actually deem as pretty decent. Decent, no thanks to Gunther, of course, because again, this is the double standard with Gunther. Jey Uso does 5 moves and is super over with the crowd, you know what I'm saying, selling a lot of merch and doing all that stuff, and you know what I'm saying, he's getting the crowd hype and everything, and we call him a jobber. I've called him a jobber, but we have to hold the same logic. Gunther does 4 moves in this match. Go back and watch it if you don't believe me yet again. He has 1,000 chops he does in this match. He does a superplex from the top rope 1 time, so that doesn't even count. So basically it's just we're at a bunch of chops. He does clotheslines, and he did a powerbomb. That's it, and he hit a low blow. That's the moves that Gunther did in this match. So Gunther does 4 or 5 moves, sells no tickets, draws no seats, draws no viewers, puts no butts in seats, has had 2 garbage world championship reigns that are partly his fault and partly Triple H's fault, has barely ever cut any good promos, has told no good stories, and somehow we're supposed to be okay with him retiring John Cena, but Jey Uso is seen as an annoying bum who's a jobber. Do you see the double standard? How is Gunther a future main eventer in this thing and that thing? He's amazing. He's this, he's that. For doing 4 moves and not being that over literally at all. He came out tonight to 0 reaction, but he's great, and Jey Uso sucks. That's the double standard, and that's the problem. The fans pick and choose who they like, and Triple H picks and chooses who he likes. That's why we have no new stars, or that's part of the reason at least. But the match itself was decent. Sikoa did a bunch of really cool moves here. He did the Uso splash, which I thought was cool. He did a jumping spike. He had a bunch of clotheslines. He had the Samoan drop. He did a Uranagi. Like, Sikoa was doing a bunch of different good moves in this match. It was creative. I like what he was doing here. But Gunther, on the other hand, did nothing. And I'm tired of hearing, oh, well, Gunther hits hard, man. He hits some really hard chops, man. Yeah. Really? That's the standard now? He hits hard moves, so that's it? You know how many wrestlers can do hard-hitting matches? Rusev can do a hard-hitting match, and he's a jobber. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop the nonsense, bro. We have to grow up. Jeffrey Cobb can hit hard-hitting moves. Is he any good? You know what I'm saying? Like, just stop, bro. It is what it is. Gunther wins the match. It's now going to be Gunther versus LA Knight to see who advances to fight John Cena in his final match, which will likely be Gunther. But hey, maybe Triple H will finally wake up and have LA Knight win, because LA Knight is obviously a much better performer than Gunther is. But, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. We then get to the main event, which ends up being a brawl. Ilya Jabberov, Rihanna Ripley, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Roxanne Perez, the Kabuki Warriors, Io Sky, Charlotte and Alexa, and Lara and Bayley come out there, and they all brawl to end the show. That's it. There was a match with Alexa and Charlotte and Rhea and Io, obviously, but it got ended in a DQ because 9 different people came in and brawled, and then Liv Morgan and the Judgment Day held the tag team titles tall, and that was the end of the show. That's it. I don't know what to say about this, man. Who cares? Literally nobody cares, and we've seen the same brawls for 80 weeks straight. Nobody cares about the current state of the women's division in either show. It's complete garbage, and nobody cares. Hence why the War Games was supposed to be the big payoff, and it was a complete garbage match that nobody will ever watch again, and nobody, hopefully, will ever be watching this Raw again, because it was a complete and utter disaster. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you thought about Raw in the comment section below, and as always, have a phenomenal day. Peace out, and one love.